I, Jiang Ningning, gained the ability to read minds, but my cunning boss, Ming, discovered my secret. From that moment on, I became his personal human lie detector. When business partners came to negotiate deals, Ming gave me a look. What's their background? I blurted out, reliable, my foot. In a few days, they're bound to put on a ridiculous soap opera, mistress fighting mistress, wives tearing into scumbags on the street. The first wife will explode in rage and tear the man apart, and their stock will plummet faster than a rocket. Partnering with them? Say goodbye to your money. When an ex-girlfriend came crying and begging to get back together, Ming raised an eyebrow. Does she still love me? Internally, I ranted furiously, love you? What a joke. She got dumped by her sugar daddy abroad, and now she's desperate and remembers her backup option, you. Does she think she's your one true love? She's in love with your wallet, you idiot. Ming's lips twitched. The last two words, where's your workplace decorum? Never in my wildest dreams did I think that one day, Ming would suddenly corner me. And what about you? Have you ever had feelings for me? Before my brain could catch up, my mouth betrayed me. Not unless I'd been kicked in the head by a donkey. Ming's face instantly darkened like the bottom of a scorched pan. The day I awoke to my mind-reading ability was the first time Ming brought me to a high-end cocktail party. A greasy old man placed his lecherous hand on my shoulder, smiling on the surface while his thoughts reeked. What smooth skin this girl has. I'll make Ming give me a few percentage points and have him gift her to me as a present. I instantly exploded, staring at the perverted old man old enough to be my grandfather. Without a second thought, I executed a professional over-the-shoulder throw, clean and decisive. At the police station, Ming's expression was worse than if he'd swallowed a fly. I timidly slid into the car. Though the lights were off, I could feel the murderous aura emanating from him, as if he wanted to devour me whole. His voice was icy. Jiang Ningning, do you realize that with one throw, you cost me a 10 billion yuan contract? I was on the verge of tears. Boss Su, let me explain. No, let me justify myself. He gave me a smirk that wasn't a smile, and I steeled my resolve. Boss Su, what if I told you I can read minds? Would you believe me? He gave me a look that screamed, do you think I'm stupid? You don't need to come to work tomorrow, he said coldly. I instantly broke down in tears. Don't fire me, Boss Su. I have elderly parents and young siblings to care for. Oh no, I really need this job. Let me prove it to you. Just then, the driver, Shaoli, got into the car. I grabbed him. Shaoli says you're stingy and demanding, making him work overtime without proper pay. He wants to go home and be with his new bride. How can you bear to break up a newlywed couple? Shaoli, Ming. Shaoli nearly knelt down. Boss Su, I didn't. I spoke righteously, my gaze firm as steel. He did. Just now when he went to buy hangover medicine, he also pocketed a pack of condoms. Under Ming's murderous glare, Shaoli, trembling, reluctantly pulled out the pack of condoms. Boss Su, I was wrong. Ming's expression shifted from shock to questioning his entire existence. The next day, Ming took me to another banquet, with the grand excuse, since you can read minds, you can be my personal lie detector. I wanted to curse him on the spot. Capitalists really are bloodsuckers, determined to wring out every last drop of my energy. Once we arrived, I realized this wasn't a banquet. It was clearly a large-scale matchmaking event. Ming, the scoundrel, had organized his own modern-day version of choosing a bride to save time. Looking at the flock of extravagantly dressed women, I suddenly felt like Cinderella surrounded by a sea of dazzling peacocks. Ming pointed at a woman in a flowing white dress with long, straight black hair. You, stay. 3 minutes later, Ming gave a slight nod. All right, wait for further notice. The cold and ruthless interview atmosphere instantly triggered my deep-seated fear of HR screenings. I took a sip of water to calm my nerves, only for Ming to turn to me. What do you think of her, huh? I didn't react in time. He narrowed his eyes. Your mind-reading ability, what is she thinking? I cleared my throat. Are you sure you want to hear the truth? He nodded. She said, what a shameless old man, pretending to be young. A dirty old bull trying to eat tender grass, disgusting. To add authenticity, I even mimicked her voice. Ming's handsome face instantly darkened. I quickly scooted back. Boss Su, you forced me to say it. Don't shoot the messenger. He took a deep breath, regaining his usual gentlemanly demeanor. Assistant Jiang, do you think I'm old too? In truth, Ming was only in his early 30s, the prime age for a man's charm. In terms of looks, he could outshine most young heartthrobs. In terms of education, he was an elite returnee. In terms of wealth, he was practically a walking gold mine. A certified diamond bachelor? Of course not. Boss Su, you're dashing and suave. Compared to those greasy old men, you're worlds apart. Su Ming gave a chilling smile. Assistant Jiang, control your mouth. If you don't, I might not be able to resist silencing you permanently. I obediently shut my mouth. By the end of the day, not a single matchmaking candidate had caught Su Ming's eye, and I could take all the credit, or blame, for that. Contestant 1, Boss Su, she thinks you're handsome, but she's heard that men over 30 have issues in that department, and she's afraid of becoming a widow. I even shot a meaningful glance at his lower half. Is he really incapable? Su Ming gritted his teeth. Jiang Ningning, where are you looking? Unfortunately, I could read the minds of anyone, humans, even animals, but not Su Ming's. It seemed this guy had a firewall in his brain. Or maybe he didn't need internal monologues at all. He could simply say whatever he wanted, rich and arrogant as he was. Contestant 2, Boss Su, she says she's here on behalf of her sister, but in truth, she likes women. Su Ming spat out his champagne. His face darkened. Keep this to yourself. She's the only heir of the Han family. Contestant 3, Boss Su, she's already pregnant with someone else's child and is considering making you the stepfather. Su Ming, after the matchmaking disaster, as I prepared to call a cab home, Su Ming suddenly said, it's pouring outside and hard to get a taxi. Just spend the night at my place. I stared at him with a look that screamed, do you think I'm an idiot? Su Ming rubbed his temples, looking helpless. Jiang Ningning, can you stop looking at me like I'm some kind of beast? Do I seem like the type to act out of desperation? Damn it. I knew it, he didn't need any internal monologues. He suddenly leaned closer, his long lashes nearly brushing my cheek. Staring at his flawless, chiseled face, my heart skipped a beat. A sucker for good looks still has a soul, okay? Perhaps it was the sound of the rainstorm, but his voice carried an almost hypnotic quality. Help me listen to what my family is thinking. Oh wow, was this a prelude to meeting the parents? I looked at the chairman sitting at the head of the table. This brat has finally come to his senses. He actually brought a woman home. Even though it's a bit late, at least the Su family will have heirs now. Tonight, I must eat 3 extra bowls of rice to celebrate. Me. Never would I have guessed that the usually stoic chairman was so adorable in private. I quickly turned my gaze to the chairman's wife. What's going on? There's no such person among the blind date candidates. Who slipped this one in? Looks so plain, no charisma, no looks. Sigh, what poor taste my son has. Me. I now know who Ming Su inherited his sharp tongue from. The chairman's wife's internal monologue continued, but at least it's a woman. Finally, I can breathe a sigh of relief. Oh, thank you so much. I then looked at Ming Su's sister. This kid's got some moves, huh? Quiet types always hide their true nature. Tonight, I'll have the staff set up a romantic room for them, guaranteed satisfaction. Ming Su said softly, this is my assistant, Ningning Jiang. There's a storm tonight, and she can't go back, so she'll stay the night. Chairman, suddenly, I've lost my appetite. Chairman's wife, why am I feeling both disappointed and relieved at the same time? Sister, oh, an office romance? How exciting. As I followed Ming Su upstairs, I heard the chairman's wife's inner thoughts. Could this kid still be hung up on his first love? First love? I raised an eyebrow. Who would have thought that Ming Su, the ultimate straight-laced guy, actually had a sweet first love story? Once we got upstairs, Ming Su asked me what I had overheard. I cleared my throat. President Su, it's better not to know. I'm afraid it might shatter your beautiful impression of your family. Ming Su. That evening, I chatted with my best friend. Come out and have fun. I typed back, can't. I'm at my boss's house. My best friend sent a screaming gopher meme. You've fallen into the abyss. Me. After hearing my explanation, my best friend contemplated. So, you're saying your mind-reading ability works on everyone except your boss? Yep. He always leaves your messages on read without replying? I guess you could say that. So now, you're basically his human lie detector? My best friend really hit the nail on the head. Sweetheart, capitalists are cunning with 100 tricks up their sleeves. Be careful not to get so lost in reading him that you lose yourself too. 3 days later, the boss's first love returned. How did I know she was the so-called first love? First, the standard white dress, long flowing hair, a frail and delicate demeanor. The first thing she said to me was, is Ming Su here? Who at the company dares to call him by his full name? As his assistant, I immediately sensed something unusual. I stood up and said respectfully, President Su is in a meeting with the shareholders. She glanced at the clock behind me, tilted her head at a 45-degree angle, and sighed with a faint, bitter smile. He's still the same, so busy he forgets to eat. I silently rubbed the goosebumps on my arms, keeping my face expressionless. I'll wait for him in his office. With that, the so-called first love made her way toward the president's office. His office is full of confidential business information. Besides me, basically no one else dares to enter. Who knows if this woman might be a spy planted by a rival company? You can never be too cautious. I stopped her and said politely, "Ma'am, could you please leave your contact information? I'll inform President Su once his meeting is over." She sneered and rolled her eyes. "You're just a lowly assistant. Do you even know what my relationship with Ming Su is?" I didn't want to know, nor was I interested. As we were at a standoff, a familiar deep voice came from behind. "What are you two doing?" Before I could react, the so-called first love darted toward Ming Su like a rocket. Ming Su instinctively leaned back defensively. She looked at him with deep affection and said, "Ming Su, it's been so long." I waited for Ming Su to lash out. After all, as his assistant for so many years, I've seen countless admirers crash and burn like a school of fish swimming into a net. I always assumed that anyone Ming Su liked must be extraordinary and capable of handling immense pressure. But to my surprise, instead of his usual 360-degree unrelenting verbal takedown, Ming Su froze for a moment. Then, like a male protagonist in a cheesy romance drama, his eyes slightly reddened as he said, "By you, you're back?" The two embraced passionately. I looked down at my goosebumps, they had all perished. To salvage whatever goosebumps were left, I quickly interrupted, "President Su, President Jiang will be arriving shortly." Ming Su shot me a displeased glance. "Got it." He then softly said to Bai Yu, "I'll take care of some work first. You wait for me in the office." I felt like my soul had left my body. The only people Ming Su ever allowed into his office were either corpses or me. I suddenly held Bai Yu in great reverence. After Ming Su left, Bai Yu looked at me with a provocative gaze. "Still think you can stop me?" Her aura was overwhelming. I quickly shook my head. She might very well be the future boss's wife. I needed to tread carefully. I bowed and scraped. "Please, go ahead. I'm just a fool who failed to recognize greatness." She snorted coldly and walked past me. I busied myself making her coffee and getting her cake. As she enjoyed them, she asked, "How long have you been by Ming Su's side?" Without thinking, I replied, 10 years. 10 years. Do you even know what I've endured in these 10 years? I screamed internally, but Bai Yu was completely uninterested in my struggles. She raised her eyes disdainfully. "Oh, so you've been together day and night all these years?" "Pretty much. Except for not changing his diapers or rocking him to sleep, I've done everything a nanny would do." My silence seemed to irritate Bai Yu further. She declared her territory. "Starting today, I'll be the one taking care of him." I stared at her in surprise. "Are you sure? Do you know how particular he is? Do you know how hard he is to please? Do you know how unpredictable his moods are? You don't. That's why ignorance is bliss." I smiled obsequiously. Yes, with you around, President Su is truly blessed." The moment I said that, Ming Su appeared behind me without me realizing it. "Ningning Jiang," he said, "having you is also a blessing for me." Ignoring me, he approached Bai Yu. "I've thought it over. Work isn't as important as you. I'll go buy your favorite cake." Seeing the two of them about to enter another lovey-dovey moment, I quickly made my exit. Honestly, I'm allergic to these romance scenes. It feels like they're not embarrassed, but I'm cringing on their behalf. Ming Su didn't pay me any mind. Sensing the moment, I turned to leave, but I caught Bai Yu's inner thoughts. He's still as gullible as ever. If I hadn't been dumped and didn't owe so much money, I wouldn't have bothered with this boring blockhead. I turned back and glanced at Bai Yu. She was looking at Ming Su with tender eyes. "All these years, I've never forgotten you." I blurted out, "Your wallet, right?" Both of them turned to look at me. Bai Yu glared at me venomously. Ming Su stared at me with a curious expression. I cleared my throat. Sorry. I have a line like that in an upcoming event I'm attending." Ming Su waved his hand dismissively. "You can leave now." I fled the scene in embarrassment. That evening, Ming Su and Bai Yu went on a date. Who would have expected that I'd become an accessory to their date? Me, dear bosses, I'm just a humble worker. I don't want to be a background prop in your emotional drama. Ming Su, the scoundrel, threatened me. "Not going? Your bonus this month will be 0. The true face of a capitalist, absolutely shameless. So, at the date venue, the carefully dolled up Bai Yu froze the moment she saw me. Her smile stiffened, and her face soured like she'd just bitten into a lemon. But in order to maintain her pure white lotus persona, she forced herself to muster a gentle smile. "Assistant Jiang is here too." Perfect timing. I have so many work-related questions I'd like to consult Miss Jiang on. "Not necessary," Su Ming interrupted bluntly. "We're on a date. Let her eat alone." Huh? Both Bai Yu and I were stunned, as if we'd just heard something utterly inconceivable. Su Ming brazenly lied with a straight face. Who said I brought her here? We just bumped into each other. Isn't that right, Assistant Jiang? The corners of my mouth twitched as I forced out a smile that was uglier than crying. Yes, it's true, we just bumped into each other. I absolutely adore this restaurant. Fake smile.jpg. Bayu's smile didn't reach her eyes. Assistant Jiang's taste, very good. While Bayu went to the restroom to touch up her makeup, I seized the opportunity to extort Su Ming. Boss, this meal better be reimbursed. Overtime pay warning. He raised an eyebrow, looking utterly disdainful. Can you have some ambition? Is money all you ever think about? What else would I think about? Love, please. That's something I don't have. Today, I'm just your unwilling unpaid laborer, okay? He sighed helplessly and nodded. Listen in on her inner thoughts for me. There'll be a nice bonus in it for you. I instantly switched to employee mode, flashing a bright smile. Okay, big boss. Bayu started back in her high heels, not forgetting to snort coldly as she passed me, lowering her voice to warn, you're just a lowly assistant who can't even make it to the stage. I suggest you give up any hope she might have. I looked up and watched her sway her hips as she walked over to Su Ming. My inner monologue, who's interested in your boss? I just want to make money. As soon as Bayu sat down, Su Ming immediately transformed into a tender, caring gentleman, gazing at her with a pained expression. Bayu, you've lost so much weight over the years. It breaks my heart. I silently took a bite of steak, which suddenly tasted like cardboard. Steak, don't drag me into this. I'm just a prop. How do I even describe it? I've seen Su Ming in his usual state, decisive, sharp-tongued, commanding. Watching him act like a love-struck fool is like mixing Lao Gan Ma chili sauce into vanilla ice cream, downright jarring. Bayu bashfully lowered her head. It's all because I've missed you. Me. Save me. Their lovey-dovey exchanges are so cringe-inducing. I feel like my toes are curling into a full-blown real estate development, 3 bedrooms and a living room. Just then, Bayu's inner thoughts floated into my head. Lost weight? Of course I had to. My ex-boyfriend said a waist slim enough to be held with one hand is sexy. For him, I've been living on nothing but salad every day. I glanced at Bayu with a complex expression, another lovesick sister, However, the object of her obsession clearly wasn't Su Ming. Su Ming continued gazing at her tenderly. Now that you're back, you're staying for good, right? Stay? Of course I'm staying. Who else would I turn to for money if I left? I've got millions in debt waiting to be paid. Su Ming, you're my personal ATM. I couldn't help but click my tongue in amazement. Poor Su Ming, commanding and unstoppable at work, yet reduced to a walking cash machine for his first love. Su Ming, all these years, I've never forgotten you, she said, tears glistening in her eyes, her voice laden with emotion. At the same time, her inner monologue synced up, as if I'd remember a blockhead like you. If it weren't for your decent looks and family fortune, I wouldn't even bother with you. I silently lit a candle for Su Ming. This green tea girl's aura is practically off the charts. And you, Su Ming? She asked, her voice dripping with tenderness as she gazed at him. Su Ming averted his gaze, his eyes landing on me with an ambiguous expression. Hard to say. After all, someone else here doesn't seem to be feeling too well. After the meal, Su Ming first escorted Bayu back to her hotel. Then, in the car's back seat, he coldly ordered, Jiang Ningning, come sit up front. I froze. It's easier to talk. I sheepishly slid into the passenger seat, feeling like a criminal being interrogated. Spill, Su Ming said curtly. I cleared my throat. President Su, this situation is different. She's your first love, your white moonlight. Are you sure you want me to say it? Su Ming raised an eyebrow. Say it. So, I recounted every bit of Bayu's inner thoughts, mimicking her green tea tone for authenticity. I nearly sent myself into an early grave in the process. At the end, I raised a hand and solemnly swore, President Su, I swear every word is true. If I'm lying, may I be cursed to wake up at 5 a.m. every day for the rest of my life. That would be worse than death for me. Su Ming fell silent, his handsome face clouded with an unreadable expression, as if he'd suffered a heavy blow. I patted his shoulder consolingly. Who hasn't loved a couple of jerks in their youth? President Su, look ahead. There are plenty of fish in the sea. Why cling to one flower? He looked at me with a smirk. So, Assistant Jiang, are you saying you two were once young and foolish, in love with a scumbag? Wow, he's trying to set me up. I'm human, not born from a crack in a rock. Of course I've had my moments of springtime affection. Yes, loved one. I admitted openly. Su Ming gave a cryptic snort. And who was he? I answered honestly, I don't even know what he looks like. Su Ming. His expression froze as if he'd just heard the most absurd thing in the world. Back then, when I was accepted to university, my family refused to let me go. They thought educating a girl was pointless, that I'd be better off working to save for my brother's future wedding, but I was determined to escape that small mountain village. I secretly filled out my application and left with my luggage. Tuition became the biggest issue. To keep studying, I worked like crazy, taking on every dirty, exhausting job, even hauling water to the girls' dormitories. One day, I pushed myself too hard and fainted at the dorm entrance. When I woke up, I was in the campus medical office. Through the curtain, I couldn't see clearly, but I heard a clear, gentle voice, like bamboo after the rain, soothing and refreshing. The school nurse said, "This child isn't seriously ill, just overworked, malnourished, and anemic. I know her, she's a hardworking student, but her family conditions aren't great." "I see," the warm male voice replied. "Please take good care of her." From then on, the school nurse treated me with extraordinary kindness, bringing me chicken drumsticks and bowls of pork rib soup. She was more caring than my own mother. At first, I felt embarrassed, but later, I was deeply moved. It made me believe in the kindness of strangers. Eventually, my curiosity got the better of me, and I pestered the nurse for answers. That's when she told me the truth. "Actually, it was the boy who brought you here that day. He secretly gave me some money to help you under my name." I immediately asked, "Do you know who he is? What's his name?" The nurse shook her head. "He insisted on keeping it a secret. I don't know what he looks like, whether he's even from our school, or what his name is. But I'll always remember his voice." I found myself lost in memories, and my lips curled up involuntarily. His voice was so gentle, like when I was a kid lying on a bamboo bed, with my grandpa fanning me with a palm leaf fan while telling me stories. Warm and reassuring, it felt like all the exhaustion melted away. The memory faded, and I lifted my head, only to meet a pair of deep, enigmatic eyes. Su Ming's gaze faltered, unable to avoid mine in time. There seemed to be an emotion hidden in them that I couldn't decipher. I shrugged, breaking the awkward silence. "President Su, let's get back to you. What's your plan? Need me to analyze the situation for you?" I even deliberately threw him a flirtatious wink as I spoke, but Su Ming only responded with a look of disdain. I cautiously asked, "Do you like her? If you do, the things she said must have been quite a blow to you." Su Ming let out a cold chuckle. "Like her? Huh. Would I ever like someone who used to bully me?" The word bully immediately piqued my interest. There was obviously a story behind this. Su Ming noticed the gossip-hungry gleam in my eyes and sighed helplessly before giving me a condensed version of an old tale. Back in his university days, Su Ming had been the campus heartthrob, his good looks and brilliant mind captivating countless girls. Baiyu was one of them. Among all the girls vying for Su Ming's attention, Baiyu considered herself rather average. To eliminate her competition, she resorted to an underhanded scheme. Not long after, the school forum was pinned with an anonymous post accusing Su Ming of being a shallow hypocrite, all style and no substance. To make it more convincing, the post even included photos of Su Ming allegedly abusing a cat. I couldn't help but glance at him with a look of disdain. "Ew, President Su, who would have thought you were such a creep?" Su Ming rubbed his temples in frustration and explained, "That cat was abused to death by someone else. I was just being kind and buried it." Seeing the skepticism on my face, he looked genuinely hurt but spoke with a hint of stubbornness. "Jiang Ningning, we've known each other for so many years. Don't you trust me even this much? Besides, when you said you had mind-reading abilities, I believed you without a second thought." "Pfft, believed me immediately?" He was clearly skeptical at first, but as I calmed down and thought it through, I realized Su Ming indeed wasn't the type to harm animals. Though stingy and particular, exuding a capitalist's aura of greed, his core wasn't bad. Anyway, that incident completely changed Su Ming. Everyone deemed him a creep and avoided him like the plague, turning him into a pariah overnight. That's when the kind Baiyu stepped in, showing him care and concern, creating an image of being the only one sober in a world gone drunk. "Jiang Ningning, do me a favor," Su Ming suddenly said. The next day, following his instructions, I found Baiyu a spacious apartment in the city center. As I watched Baiyu excitedly tour her new place, Su Ming's icy smirk flashed in my mind. The way she played me back then, I'll make her pay back double now. This guy isn't exactly a saint, but his thirst for revenge is something else. Su Ming's eyes turned sorrowful and filled with resentment in an instant. "It's all her fault. If it weren't for her, my grandmother wouldn't have died in that accident. She disappeared without a trace for all these years, and now she dares to walk right into my trap." I stayed silent. I didn't feel the slightest sympathy for Baiyu. Pitiful people often have something detestable about them. "Assistant Jiang, are you saying Su Ming is giving me this apartment?" Bai asked in surprise. That's right, I replied with a smile, though inwardly thinking, he's not just giving you an apartment, he's putting you on a pedestal too. I handed her a black invitation embossed with gold. President Su invites you to a cocktail party tonight. Mimicking the loyal butler from a cliché CEO romance novel, I added, you're the first woman President Su is taking to a party. She cast a disdainful glance at me and asked nonchalantly, and Assistant Jiang, you've never accompanied Su Ming to a party? Feigning ignorance, I replied, Miss Bai, you must be joking. How could I ever deserve that? I'm just an employee. Only then did Bai smile in satisfaction. That evening, Su Ming arrived in a Maybach to pick her up. Seeing her, he smiled and said, let's go, my princess. How many trashy romance novels has this man read to spout such cheesy lines? I inwardly rolled my eyes in exasperation. At the party, my task was simple, serve tea, carry bags, and act as Bai's personal errand girl. Su Ming introduced her without hesitation, saying, this is my girlfriend, Bai. Yes, my first love, lost and now found again. If I could marry her, it would be the greatest blessing of my life. The ability to lie with a straight face, coupled with such strong nerves, no wonder he's the CEO of a listed company. After the party, Bai enthusiastically invited Su Ming to her place. I looked at him with sympathy, thinking, tonight, his chastity might be in jeopardy, poor man. But to my shock, he came back down after just 3 minutes. Sitting in the driver's seat, I couldn't help blurting out, 3-second man? Su Ming froze for a second before glaring at me through gritted teeth. Assistant Jiang, mind your words. He settled into the passenger seat, his long fingers massaging his temples, his tone laced with disgust. Assistant Jiang, have you ever experienced being in the same room as a pile of crap? It's revolting. I couldn't advise him to let go of his hatred. After all, those who've never endured online bullying can never truly understand the psychological scars it leaves behind. Though it didn't inflict physical harm, the wounds it left on his heart were slow to heal. Bai's slander back then cast a dark shadow over Su Ming's entire university life. From being a beloved prodigy to a pariah, he lost everything. And Bai did it all just for fun, just to satisfy her competitive streak. Some people truly don't deserve to be called human. Summoning my courage, I patted his shoulder. You've been through a lot. If there's anything I can do to help, just ask. Lately, Su Ming has completely turned into one of those foolish emperors from historical dramas, spoiling Bai endlessly, buying her an apartment, a sports car, giving her a black card to spend as she pleased, and taking her to all kinds of high-end venues. It's been tough on me. I don't know if Bai is trying to assert her dominance or hold a grudge against me for blocking her before, but I've been relegated entirely to her personal servant. With my hands full of shopping bags, my view was almost completely obstructed, yet she made no effort to warn me of the impending danger. Just as I was about to misstep, a steady arm caught me. That familiar scent. I struggled to look up and saw Su Ming's eyes filled with concern and a hint of reproach. You're an adult, can't you walk more carefully? I stared at the ground in fright, cold sweat dripping down my back. Had I missed that step, I'd have surely rolled down like a ball. Bai, standing nearby, immediately put on a fake concerned expression when she saw Su Ming. Su Ming, what brings you here? Oh dear, I told you I could pick it up myself. Assistant Jiang, you're too kind. Su Ming let go of me and affectionately put his arm around Bai's shoulder. You've bought so many things. Did you get something for me? Bai giggled and said, of course I did. I wiped the cold sweat from my brow, quietly retreating to the side. When I returned to the office that evening, I realized my ankle was faintly aching. Upon taking off my shoes and socks, I saw it had swollen up like a steamed bun. Like a headless chicken, I wandered around searching for medicine. Suddenly, with a loud click, the lights came on. I jumped in fright and let out a startled cry. Ah, it's me. I turned around and saw it was Su Ming. Only then did I breathe a sigh of relief. Do you know you almost scared me to death? Sorry for startling you. He walked toward me, concern evident in his voice. I tried calling you, but you didn't pick up, so I came to check if you were here. What happened to your foot? It's nothing, just twisted it accidentally. I waved my hand, trying to play it down. He seemed to recall something, and his expression turned slightly guilty. It was at the mall earlier, wasn't it? With a face full of remorse, he said, I'm so sorry. I caused this. How about this, starting tomorrow, take some time off and rest at home properly. After saying this, he turned to leave. However, 10 minutes later, he returned with a bag of medicine for sprains and bruises in his hand. He crouched down, intending to massage my ankle. I quickly pulled my foot back. I can do it myself. I'll handle it. He ignored my protest, firmly grabbing my ankle as his commanding tone left no room for argument. I'll do it. You're too clumsy. Internally, I wanted to cry. Who exactly is the clumsy one here? The office was so quiet that only the sound of our breathing and the quickening pace of our heartbeats could be heard. I stared at Su Ming's thick, jet-black hair, noticing 2 small cowlicks. As expected, he truly was born a golden child. That face, he really is handsome. So handsome that I didn't dare to entertain any improper thoughts about him. Besides, there was always a lingering regret in my heart. The boy who once helped me remained an indistinct figure in my dreams, forever shrouded in fog, impossible to truly grasp. President Su, I called softly. He looked up, his gaze complicated as it met mine. He seemed a bit nervous. You're massaging the wrong spot. Su Ming. After the swelling on my ankle subsided, Su Ming personally drove me home. Unexpectedly, as soon as we stepped outside, Baiyu was waiting there. When Baiyu saw Su Ming helping me, the daggers in her eyes seemed ready to pierce me. Yet, for now, she restrained herself. Su Ming looked surprised. What are you doing here? Baiyu sneered internally. I knew it. Men are all the same. Eating from one bowl while eyeing the pot, just like my ex. But luckily, I never cared about you in the first place. If it weren't for the money I can get from you, I wouldn't even bother. I frowned slightly. Turning to Su Ming, I said, President Su, I've already drafted the emergency contract. I can take a cab home myself. You should stay and accompany Miss Bai. After saying this, I limped away. Behind me, I heard Baiyu's coquettish voice. Su Ming, don't tell me you have feelings for Assistant Jiang? Su Ming lowered his voice. How could that be? She's just my assistant. If there were anything between us, it would have happened over 10 years ago. I paused mid-step. Though I knew he was just putting on a show, a strange twinge of disappointment rose within me. The next day, while resting at home, I got a text message informing me that someone had ordered takeout for me downstairs. Grateful since I hadn't cooked, I hobbled downstairs to retrieve it. Just as I reached the bottom floor, a woman blocked my path. Without a word, she raised the item in her hand and splashed it toward my face. The attacker was quickly subdued. Thankfully, the liquid wasn't acid, so my face was unharmed. My best friend, shaken, exclaimed, "Thank goodness it wasn't real acid. What would you do if it had been acid?" Frowning, she added, "Who on earth did you offend recently?" I lived a simple life, commuting between work and home. Who could I have possibly offended? If I had to name someone, it would likely be Baiyu. Knowing her volatile nature, she was capable of anything. She must have ordered the water attack instead of acid as a warning. Lost in thought, my phone rang. My best friend snatched it up, answering for me. "Jiang Ningning, are you home?" "No, she's not. She was almost splashed with acid." The other end of the line went silent for a long time before Su Ming finally asked, "Where is she?" "I'll come find her." I don't know what methods Su Ming used, but the woman eventually confessed that Baiyu had indeed ordered the attack. I wouldn't dare use real acid. I'm not stupid. She only gave me 30,000 yuan. It's not worth ruining my life over. Su Ming sneered coldly. "You should be thankful you only used water today." With eyes as cold as frost, he turned to his accompanying lawyer. "Question her thoroughly. As for this woman, I'll press charges to the fullest extent." My best friend watched in shock. "Wow, your boss is going all out for you. Are you really going to keep denying there's something going on between you two? By the way, who's Baiyu? Why does she hate you so much?" I replied blankly, "Baiyu is Su Ming's first love." "What a crazy first love. Your boss doesn't have very good taste," my best friend concluded. After everything was taken care of, Su Ming said, "I was planning to deal with her slowly, but it seems I'll need to change my plans now. 3 days from now, I'll call you. There'll be a good show to watch." He glanced at my best friend. "You can come along too." 3 days later, instead of calling, Su Ming sent me a gilded invitation. My best friend, who had been staying with me, was dumbfounded upon seeing it. "He's getting engaged to that lunatic?" Even though I knew it was all a facade, seeing their names side by side on the card still left a faint bitterness in my heart. "Let's go. There'll be food." My best friend patted my shoulder. "And a good show. Your boss promised, didn't he?" After dressing up carefully, we arrived at Su Ming's family estate. The estate was bustling with people, lively and grand. I quickly scanned the crowd. Su Ming had invited nearly all the key figures in politics and business, as well as numerous media reporters. As soon as we entered the main hall, we spotted Baiyu in a stunning custom-made blue mermaid gown, gracefully approaching us. With the air of a victor, she looked at me and said, "Assistant Jiang, thank you for attending my and Su Ming's engagement party." Expressionless, I replied, "Congratulations." She sneered at me before turning to Su Ming. Watching Su Ming cater to her every whim, Bai smugly thought, once I have this fool completely under my control, I'll start poisoning him bit by bit. When he's gone, all his wealth will be mine. My eyes widened in shock. Hurriedly, I sent Su Ming a message. After the engagement, be careful with everything you eat and drink. She's going to poison you. Soon, I received a reply. Too bad, she won't have the chance anymore. Everyone gathered in the main hall. Su Ming looked gently at Bai and slowly said, today, I've invited everyone here to attend my engagement ceremony with Bai. To be honest, over the years, I've stayed single not because I've lost interest in women, but because there's always been someone in my heart, someone I could only dream about but could never truly reach. As he spoke, his gaze seemed to fleetingly fall on me. Bai's smile nearly stretched to the back of her ears. So today, I want to give her an answer. With that, he turned and fixed his gaze on Bai. Today, I have a special gift for you. I hope you'll like it. Bai assumed he was about to gift her something expensive, perhaps a villa, an island, or even shares in a company. Her sense of triumph was practically overflowing. Who would have thought it'd be this easy? He's still the same as before, completely under my control. Back then, to thoroughly discard him, I smeared his name in every way possible, turning him into a pariah everyone hated. And now? He's still my lapdog, isn't he? Pathetic. At least my ex-boyfriend, for all his womanizing, had some personality. I couldn't help but gag. My best friend, seeing this, asked with a gossip-filled expression, "Are you pregnant or something?" Rolling my eyes, I replied, "No, you are. I'm just disgusted." Sometimes, having the ability to read minds feels like a burden. Su Ming clapped his hands lightly. Behind him, a massive screen suddenly lit up. Everyone assumed it would play some sweet, romantic video of how they met and fell in love. They widened their eyes and focused intently on the screen. But as the video played, their expressions turned strange, and one by one, they began casting odd looks at Bai. The video showed scenes of Bai stealthily abusing kittens and then framing Su Ming for it. The anonymous posts she had made on forums back then were also dug up and displayed. In the video, she appeared gentle and kind, like an ethereal goddess untouched by the mundane world. Yet behind the scenes, she was a malicious witch, committing countless heinous deeds. She didn't just harm Su Ming. She tormented her roommates, framed her classmates, and even slandered a highly respected teacher. All the footage had been secretly recorded, exposing Bai's two-faced hypocrisy in vivid detail. Bai's face turned pale instantly. Su Ming's smile remained warm, but his gaze was as cold as ice. So? Are you satisfied with this gift? At this point, Bai dropped her act entirely. Frustrated and defiant, she snapped, "Su Ming, what do you want? Even if you expose me, what do you gain? Don't you care about becoming a laughingstock when people talk behind your back?" I have to admit, Bai's mental fortitude was impressive. But who was Su Ming? He was a business elite feared by his rivals. Su Ming tilted his head slightly, his tone resolute. To harm an enemy by 1,000, one must sometimes lose 800. But for you, I'm willing. He stepped back, creating some distance between them, his gaze sharp. Did you really think I was a fool? What I'm doing to you now is not even a fraction of the harm you caused me back then. What you should never have done was go to my frail grandmother and cause her to have a heart attack. His voice dropped to a deep, menacing tone. You should have stayed hidden abroad. You brought this upon yourself. Seeing the situation take a rapid downturn, Bai flew into a rage and turned to leave. Su Ming grabbed her wrist. "What are you trying to do? Want to hit me?" Bai struggled and screamed, "How dare you!" in broad daylight. Before she could finish, a bucket of filth was dumped all over her. It was actual excrement. As the filth poured down, Su Ming had already taken several steps back. The surrounding people recoiled in disgust, stepping back 3 paces. Bai stood there, utterly dumbfounded. Her once meticulous makeup and hairstyle were now in total shambles. "Vile woman, you deceived me and broke my heart. You deserve the worst." The person who had thrown the filth was a young man, though his thinning hair betrayed his age. What a spectacle. My best friend stood beside me, watching with wide eyes. Did this woman offend the heavens or something? I scoffed coldly. She even tried to hire someone to throw acid on me, but luckily, it didn't happen. Before I could finish speaking, my best friend charged forward like a missile, not caring about the mess, and landed a hard slap on Bai's face. "You shameless wench. How dare you bully my best friend?" "Su Ming, me." I silently gave my best friend a thumbs up. Bai was taken away by the police. Su Ming hired the best lawyer for her, to ensure she'd serve the longest possible sentence. If her previous crimes only amounted to fraud, the moment she plotted to hire someone to throw acid, her charges escalated significantly. After everything was over, Su Ming made a special trip to the prison to visit her. Baiyu had completely dropped her pretense. The moment she saw me and Su Ming, she began cursing viciously, "You filthy couple. I hope you both die horrible deaths." Su Ming turned to me, his gaze playful. "What's she thinking?" I answered honestly, "She's thinking that if she ever gets out, the first thing she'll do is stab you to death, then throw me into a group of beggars so they can, well, you know." Su Ming's eyes darkened dangerously. Baiyu's eyes widened in shock. "How do you know what I'm thinking?" I shrugged casually. "Sorry, but I was sent by the goddess Nuwa herself to deal with you." "Baiyu." "Su Ming, all I did back then was make a few harmless mistakes and cause you some minor trouble. Do you really have to go this far? You're such a petty man." Su Ming threw a stack of photos and recordings onto her lap. "The engagement banquet was just an appetizer. The things you've done over the years are enough to keep you in prison for life." I had seen all the evidence. Her first evil deed was back in school when she framed and defamed Su Ming, leaving him ostracized by everyone, only to hypocritically pretend to care for him afterward. She abused kittens, grinning with a twisted expression as they died before her. Her jealousy was so extreme that she drove several defenseless girls to the brink of suicide. She even slandered a respected teacher, nearly causing the teacher to suffer a heart attack right before retirement. After returning to the country, her wickedness only escalated. She destroyed families, swindled money, and even kidnapped a wealthy man's child to force a marriage. Su Ming stated that even if Baiyu didn't receive the death penalty, her crimes were enough to ensure she'd rot in prison. "So, from now on, enjoy your life in jail," Su Ming said, giving Baiyu one last disgusted glance. "Oh, by the way, every moment I spent pretending with you made me sick to my stomach. Did you really think I liked you? You're not even worth a single finger of the one I truly love." Walking out of the prison, Su Ming asked me in a complicated tone, "Do you think I'm scary?" I shook my head. "Not at all. Born as humans, how could we not have tempers? If people don't provoke me, I won't provoke them. But if someone does..." Su Ming chuckled and interjected, "A shoulder throw?" I laughed awkwardly. Suddenly, he looked at me seriously. "Jiang Ningning, in fact, you and I are very alike." Yes, we were alike. One would rather bend than break, and the other refused to compromise for trivial gains. We both had our own principles and bottom lines. "Jiang Ningning, you can read anyone's mind, but you can't read mine, can you?" he asked. I nodded. He suddenly leaned down, his eyes level with mine, and said, "Then I must tell you what's in my heart and share my secret with you." In truth, the one I've never been able to let go of is you." His gaze was earnest as he looked at me. "Ah?" I hadn't expected him to confess so suddenly, and my mind went blank. "And the one you can't stop thinking about isn't someone else, it's me," he continued. Ah? I stammered, unsure how to respond. Su Ming frowned. "Are you a parrot? All you do is say ah." He exhaled, his tone carrying a hint of anticipation. "We've wasted too much time. From now on, I don't want to waste any more. Jiang Ningning, would you be willing to be with me? I offer myself as a promise and value my life. How does that sound?" My brain turned into complete mush, unable to process it all at once. "Big bro, that was way too sudden of a U-turn. Can you let me catch my breath? Weren't we just talking about revenge a moment ago? How did this suddenly turn into a confession?" "Jiang Ningning, actually, the boy who helped you back then, that was me," he softly explained. "I was tormented by Baiyu to the point of losing all will. Until I saw you, just for a measly 50-cent steamed bun, you were willing to carry a bucket of water to the 5th floor. I thought to myself, not all girls in this world are like Baiyu." His tone carried a trace of nostalgia. "Rather than saying I helped you, it would be more accurate to say you saved me." His eyes were as gentle as water. "Jiang Ningning, give me a chance. Let's be together. I've liked you for a very, very long time." That night, when I got home, my mind buzzed, completely chaotic. After all the twists and turns, it turned out the one who cared for me had been right in front of me all along. Back then, life had been so difficult for me that I had almost given up several times. If it hadn't been for his help, I don't know if I would have been able to hold on. Later, I became his assistant. Honestly, I wasn't the most qualified candidate, yet I became Su Ming's personal assistant. I could never figure out why, until now. I dialed my best friend's number. "Bestie, I need your advice. My boss just suddenly confessed to me, and I don't know what to do." From the other end of the phone came an exaggerated gasp. "I strongly suspect this is some kind of humble brag." "It's not. I've told you before about the guy I've always liked. Do you remember?" I explained, exasperated. "Of course I remember. What about him?" Her voice rose a few notches. Him." I took a deep breath and said slowly, There was a few seconds of silence on the other end of the line, followed by an excited, high-pitched scream. Wow, this is what they call karma coming full circle. No, wait, I mean, it's fate. What belongs to you will always return to you. Sister, go for it. Should I? I hesitated. Of course, she replied firmly. The whole night, I tossed and turned, unable to sleep. Just before dawn, I finally made up my mind and sent Su Ming a message. I thought it through. I'd like to give us a try. How about we grab some breakfast together? I know a place that serves amazing soy milk, fried dough sticks, and meat buns. Before I could even finish thinking about it, there was a knock at my door. I opened it to find Su Ming standing there, slightly out of breath but with a bright light in his eyes. Let's go, my girlfriend. Su Ming's extra. A long time ago, I was terrified of girls. No, I loathed them. Because of a girl named Bai, who left me with deep psychological scars. I never imagined a girl could be so wicked. She was like an inescapable demon, haunting me, breaking me down piece by piece, body, mind, and soul. The scariest part was that she always wore the mask of innocence, making it impossible for others to see her for who she truly was, a complete monster. Eventually, I learned to protect myself. I used my family background and intellect to completely expose her true face. Just as I was about to make her crimes public, she vanished. When we met again, she had the audacity to look at me with deep affection and claim she had never stopped thinking about me. Over the years, I had been thinking about her too. Thinking about her death. The hatred in my heart never faded, until I met Jiang Ningning. She was a remarkably clever girl, but I had been terrified of clever girls for a lifetime. At first, I didn't want to approach her, but then, I saw her carrying a bucket of water up 5 flights of stairs just for a measly bun. I saw her studying tirelessly in the library, day after day, without rest. Even though she was struggling herself, she still carried a heart full of compassion. Under the sunlight, she squatted down, gently massaging the foot of an injured elderly man. That beam of sunlight fell on her, and for the first time I felt like life might not be so bad after all. After that, I secretly supported her. And later, I chose to go abroad. The most recent time we met was at the company's recruitment fair. I recognized her at first glance. Her clothes and appearance had changed drastically from before, but her unique aura had never wavered. Afterward, I directly told the HR department, it's her. Let her be my assistant. This time, I wanted to hold on to that ray of sunshine for real. The end.